put that music down to 50%. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so I have everything open for steno. We just pull up the video. Okay, so first we'll be doing the 80 words per minute class.
Welcome to drill practice. Let's start out with some finger switches. Get our fingers warmed up. Ready? Here we go. Pop.
Pop.
Sub. Sun. Rib. Lap. Ton. Top. Tub. Tin. Cop.
The video is set pretty loud. I guess I can raise the volume up a little. I always have the volume set to 50% because it's loud to me. And I'm pretty close to my microphone. It's at 100%.
Cub. Den. Bin. Pub.
Oh my God.
Hop. All right, this drill looks like dates and number and letter practice.
No.
Ready? Here we go. May 19. TE 7951. April 22. RL 3250. March 7. AC 4802. July 20. SW 1969. May 30. MJ 9124. June 4.
That's my birthday.
BX 9731. July 31. EH 2662. March 9. GL 4377.
Okay, that wasn't too difficult. I missed a few, but that's okay.
Now let's practice some 3-stroke words.
Okay.
Ready? Abutment. Accustom. Dealership. Goalkeeper. Gigantic. Crackerjack. Centrifuge. Excessive. counterpart, ignorant, Hispanic, eccentric, falsetto, cucumber, horseradish, jamboree, warmonger, remorseful, subversive, vindictive, abusive.
Okay. There's some I got wrong, like centrifuge. I spelled it wrong. Centrifuge. Okay. Centrifuge. Okay. Centrifuge. Next one is excessive. Excessive. Okay. Eccentric. Okay, maybe I need to just build that. Okay. It was eccentric. Cucumber. Cucumber. Jamboree. Subversive. Nope. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Unless abutment. This in the dictionary is abutment. And custom was spelled wrong.
Now let's practice these words focusing on consonant compounds.
Okay.
It's a mixture of different consonant compounds. Ready? Here we go. Grade, green, grass, groove, groan, perk.
Jonas is water just redeemed hydrate.
Thank you for hydrate. How are you doing?
Hark, jerk, dark, ground, chirp, flaunt, bring,
Now I have to watch most today, but want to wish a great
smelt,
stream upon you. Thank you.
glaze,
I appreciate that. a lot.
glade, glare, glean, glide, turn, warn, torn, learn, worn, blunt, shirt, slant, twist, smooth. Now we'll practice what we're calling jury charge doublets. And these are pairs of words that you may find in a jury charge. Ready?
Okay.
Here we go.
Ready.
Reasonable doubt. Abiding conviction. Exclusive responsibility. Mental ability. Intoxicating liquor. Actionable negligence. Alternate jurors. Impaired mentality. Serious deliberation. Special allegation. Surrounding circumstances. Relative importance.
Oh, okay. Important has a phrase. Porn. Porn.
All right, sorry about that. Let's practice this drill, and it is focusing on cities, states, and radio call letters. Ready? Here we go.
I don't know what a radio call.
Augusta, Georgia.
Oops.
Augusta, Georgia. WGAC. Knoxville, Iowa. KMIA. Walker, Minnesota. KQST. Lancaster, California. KKZZ. Grand Haven, Michigan. WGHM. Cameron, Missouri. KMRN.
I think that's it for this video. Okay, moving on to the next one. Class 34. Jury charge and literary is next.
Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's get our fingers moving with this narrative answer.
Narrative answer, okay.
Ready? Here we go. We had a problem with our rate sheets. They could not cover all the possible jobs. We tried to make them inclusive, but we just could not do it. No one could have done it. We were told that what wages to offer for each of the kinds of jobs that we had listed. We tried to think of every possible job where we might have to hire people over the course of a whole year. We were told that our department was to call the bosses and inform them if there were any big changes in the wage rates over the course of a year. Our real problem was in regard to the ship. We had to hire some men from the outside to do the painting. That meant the wages we had to pay were already set by the unions, but they were not consistent with the other rates. It was all a big mess.
Okay. So far, so good.
All right, now for some jury charge practice. And the subject of the jury charge we've been working on is negligence. Ready? Here we go.
Negligence.
In several questions of the verdict, the term negligence is used. Every person is negligent when, without intending to do any wrong, he or she does such term negligence is used. Every person is negligent when, without intending to do any wrong, he or she does such an act or omits to take such precaution that under the circumstances present, he or she, as an ordinary, prudent person, ought reasonably to foresee that he will thereby expose another person or persons to an unreasonable risk of harm. In determining whether such conduct will subject the interests of another to an unreasonable risk of harm, a person is required to take into account such of the surrounding circumstances as would be taken into account by a reasonably prudent person, and possessing such knowledge as is possessed by an ordinarily reasonable person, and to use such judgment and discretion as is exercised by a person of reasonable intelligence and judgment under the same or similar circumstances. Negligence is also sometimes defined as a failure to use that degree of care as the great mass of mankind ordinarily exercise under the same or similar circumstances.
Okay, I messed that one up a lot. Possessing. Possess. Responsibility.
Alright, now let's try this literary material. And this is, the subject of this literary is an airplane crash.
An airplane crash, alright.
Ready? Here we go. After discounting the other possibilities and weighing all of the pertinent information, we are convinced that the continued descent below the approach minimum altitude convinced that the continued descent below the approach minimum altitude was directly related to the crew's preoccupation with the lock malfunction, and there was a lack of coordination to the crew's preoccupation with the lock malfunction, and there was a lack of coordination and effective task sharing when they attempted to deal with that problem. Another factor that was involved with the crew's lack of adherence to the fundamental rules that should have been adhered to in making the descent. The initial overshoot of the minimum altitude of 2,100 feet was probably because of the distraction caused by the malfunction of the lock. At that time, the first officer was on the radio getting instructions. As the airplane continued the gradual descent from 1,750 feet, it is apparent that the captain's attention was primarily devoted to correcting the lock malfunction rather than to flying the airplane. The verbal comments and sounds that were recorded indicate the extent to which both pilots were preoccupied with troubleshooting this problem. When the lock was inspected later, it was found to have a faulty spring, and the crew would have been unable to deal with the problem in flight.
I got a lot wrong there. Even flight. Malfunction. Initial is this. Okay, that's initial. Possibilities. Effective. Okay. Officer.
Back to some jury charge practice. Ready?
Jury charge.
In respect to the questions in the verdict relating to lookout upon each of the drivers, I instruct you that it is the law of this state that the operator of a motor vehicle is required to keep a careful lookout ahead of him as he proceeds along the highway, and if it is apparent from what he sees or by the exercise of ordinary care should have seen that by any particular method of proceeding he is liable to work an injury to another on the highway, it is his duty to take some other or safer method when, with reasonable care and prudence, he can do so.
With the OG, it was with a UC. Most per vehicle had a grave. Oh, that one is mope.
All right, let's try this narrative answer.
A narrative answer.
Ready? Here we go.
Notice book.
We became aware 2 years earlier that the ship was mooring on the river. People came out and were looking clear down the river to where they had built their facilities. At that time, they had spent considerable money to upgrade the facilities. They had constructed that berth for the express purpose of repairing the big ships. We had a standing agreement that we would not use the berth unless it was necessary. And here, since that vessel was vulnerable to the prevailing winds, we would have taken precautions had we known. The people who monitor the weather aboard the ship or the Coast Guard should have advised us that an intense storm was coming with high winds. The barometer readings were dropping fast.
Facility.
Excuse me.
I think it was birth. Not birth. Birth.
All right, let's try a little more jury charge practice. Ready? In respect to question number 3 in the verdict relating to speed, I instruct you
I could have sworn I had an entry for number. Let me check my dictionary. PPHBRR.
speed, the verdict question number 3 in the verdict relating to speed, I instruct you that it is the law of this state that no person shall operate a vehicle at a greater speed than is reasonable and prudent under conditions, and having regard for the actual and potential hazards then existing, and the speed of the vehicle shall be so controlled as may be necessary to avoid colliding with any object, person, vehicle, or other conveyance on or entering the highway in compliance with legal requirements and using due care. The operator of every vehicle shall, consistent with the foregoing requirements, operate such vehicle at a reduced rate of speed when special hazards exist with regard to other traffic, or by reason of weather or highway conditions.
Foregoing object. That might help with. Yeah. Object.
The subject of this next literary is congressional.
Congressional. Oh, my wheelhouse.
Here we go. Mr. President, I wish to address the Congress today on the subject of legislation which will appropriate the necessary funds to give our economy the boost it sorely needs.
Appropriate.
Legislation which will appropriate the necessary funds to give our economy the boost it sorely needs. This legislation will move the Western Hemisphere one step closer to a state of mutual understanding, happiness, prosperity, and peace. I call upon Congress to appropriate the funds so that we can take this major step toward furthering the mutual development of the nations of the Western Hemisphere. And that will
How to write hemisphere. Okay. Economy. I always forget economy. A let's move on to the Q&A section.
Welcome to Q&A practice. Let's start with defense attorney. Ready?
Ready.
Here we go. You have billed for that time. We have billed for everything up to April. I don't think we sent a bill since then. At the time of your deposition, you had put in about 90 hours. Is that correct? That could be. You know better than I do, Doctor, insofar as this case is concerned. When were you first called in on it? I believe the last week in January was the first time I heard of the case. At that time, were you furnished a copy of Mr. Carter's report? I was furnished many documents. That was one of them. And were you furnished pictures at that time? That missed one of them. And were you furnished pictures at that time? That Mr.
I have my Q&A all mixed up.
I was furnished many documents. That was one of them. And were you furnished pictures at that time that Mr. Carter had taken? Yes, I was. And were you furnished the parts that you have here in court? I was furnished several of those parts that we have in court. I don't know whether I was furnished all of them. Were you furnished the wheel and tire? I did not see those until they were here in court. I think I saw them for a couple of minutes a couple of weeks ago before they were here in court. Insofar as the parts that you were furnished at that time, can you tell me what parts you were given? Yes, I was given the power steering pump bracket. Did you ever see any spacer that was mounted with a bracket? No. What part of the automobile received the major impact damage? All I know is what I have seen in those pictures. Where do you determine that to be? Just casually looking at the pictures, there appears to be major damage on the right. The entire front appears to be damaged. Was the frame pushed to the right in the front end? I don't know how I could tell that by looking at those pictures. The camera was at such a funny angle, and I can't see that. Those pictures, the camera was at such a funny angle, and I can't see that very well.
Okay, next one. How about in
All right, now for some voice practice.
more voice.
And we will start with the plaintiff attorney. Ready? Did the store clerk understand that she was being identified? Objection, lack of foundation, calls for speculation, sustained as asked. Did you ask the clerk if she understood that she was being identified? Yes.
Speculation. Must be a break for that. Nope.
Understood. Did you ask the clerk if she understood that she was being identified? Yes. And what was her lack of foundation, calls for speculation, sustained as asked. Did you ask the clerk if she understood that she was being identified? Yes. And what was her response? Objection, calls for hearsay. So noted for the record, but you may answer. I asked her if she understood she was being identified as a seller of alcoholic beverage to a 19-year-old minor, and she said yes. Where was this face-to-face conducted? Inside the store, just outside of the register area, back towards the storeroom by the hot dogs. Okay. Did you issue a citation to the store clerk? Yes. Was that before or after she had been identified? After. I'm going to ask you to take a look at photographs that have been marked as exhibits 2A and 2B. If you could take a look at that and tell me if you recognize the individual shown in 2A. Yes. Who is that? Who are those individuals? The decoy, Mike Collins, is on the left in the white t-shirt, and on the right is the clerk, Carla Ramirez. Is that the clerk who sold the beer to the minor? Yes. And what is the minor decoy holding in his hand? A 6-pack of bottled Budweiser beer. Is that the beer the store clerk sold him? Yes. Objection, lack of foundation. As to what? As to whether she knew it was actually even the beer that was sold him. Yes. Objection, lack of foundation. As to what? as to whether she knew it was actually even the beer that was sold him, that we don't know where this beer went, what happened to it, sustained as asked. You said the decoy is holding something in his hand. Yes. What is he holding in his hand? A 6-pack of Budweiser bottled beer. And where did he get that beer? Objection, lack of foundation. I think to avoid. Did he get that beer? Objection, lack of foundation. I think to avoid the objections, you need to establish some foundation for this witness having knowledge as to where the beer came from. Just ask a few questions. Is this the same beer that the decoy purchased inside the store? Yes. Object, lack of foundation, overruled. How do you know it's the same beer? Because I followed directly behind minor decoy Collins outside the store when investigator Rios took possession of the beer at that time. Investigator Rios and Collins came back into the store together, therefore always having control of the evidence. Did you give that beer back to the decoy once he was inside of the store for the photograph? I don't remember if it was myself or investigator Rios. Was it one of the investigators? You're saying it was one of the investigators, yes, who returned the beer to him for the photograph, but I don't know actually who handed it. Did Rios hand it to me, to the decoy, or did Rios just hand it to the decoy? Okay, that's fine, thank you. If you could also look at exhibits 3A and 3B, both photographs on the same sheet. Do you recognize the individual shown in those two photographs? Yes. All right, that will conclude our Q&A practice.
Photograph. Graph. It's graph. Graph time. Next is the test.
This is an 80 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff Attorney Mr. Morris, capital M-O-R-R-I-S. Defense Attorney Ms. M.S. period Rios, capital R-I-O-S.
Okay, I'm ready.
And we'll start with defense attorney. Ready?
Defense.
And at the very top there is a fax date and time. Do you see that? Yes. What is it? It says 10/31/2005. So like 12:13 a.m. Yes, this appears, I think, 5. So like 12:13 a.m. It says 10/31/2005. So like 12:13 a.m. Yes, this appears, I think this is from Sue because it says rescheduled for Monday. Right, the handwriting. Let me just put these up on the screen for a minute so we know what we're talking about. Exhibit 20 is the report that you did, that you ran at 7:08 a.m. on Monday, October 31st, right? Yes. And that's what you would have then faxed to Sue for her schedule for the day, right? Yes. And that only has one appointment on it, a Mr. George Zipperer, right? Yes. But in fact, you knew she had more than one appointment on that day, right? Yes. And exhibit number 21, which I'm showing you now, is the report that you indicated she faxed on October 31st, 12:13 a.m., right? Yes. And on that, this is actually an appointment scheduled for a previous day, Saturday the 29th, I think, right? Yes. On that, she wrote another appointment that was to be rescheduled for Monday, right? Yes. And the name of that individual, can you read? I don't know if you can read the first name, but the last name is Sipple, right? Yes. So I have one other one I want to show you. I haven't marked this yet, but maybe you can tell me from looking at this. Do you know what kind of a form this is? This is the actual lead form that prints along with their schedule. So this is something that you prepare, yes, or I edit it. I better mark this actually. And this is exhibit 22. Yes, this was the one I had originally done, and I believe I changed it for the Monday, the same day appointment for the 31st. I was originally going to schedule it for the following week. Okay, but what's the difference between exhibit 22 and exhibit 17? That wouldn't print until the next day. This one here, exhibit 22, would not have printed until Tuesday. Okay, because that's why we usually don't do same day appointments, because they don't print until the following day. Okay, so by print you mean enter the information in your computer and do what?
I didn't do very good on that. And also, there's an ad break about to start, so I'll be right back. I forgot to put this up. There. That's good. Okay, we're back.
All right, the word list.
Let's go to the... Where is it? Was that it? The drill, luring, jury charge. Yes. Okay, so now I'm class number 35. Then I'll move on to right here. 100 words per minute. I'm on class 12. I am class 12. Let me check.
Hello
No,
everyone,
I'm on
welcome
class,
to the 100
I must be on
Jury
class 13.
Charge and Litter.
I put a little thumbs up there.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 100 drill class. We're going to start off.
It's a little low. Maybe boost up the volume a little bit.
With a phrase review. I'm going to give you the phrases and then I'll read you the paragraph. You're going to hear do effer, all in one stroke. Do you, we have, may have, if you, had been, which is initial H, final B, there is, who is, could have, K-O-V, cove would be written with a long O, you shall. All right. Here we go. Ready? Have you ever gone to the beach and felt out of place? Do you want to trim down and shape up? We may have the answer for your fitness problems. We have available a free 3-month membership in the All Pro Health Club. If you had been contemplating entering a fitness program, ours is for you. There is no one who is ever disappointed. Don't say to yourself, 3 months from now, I could have had that new swimsuit, that new outfit, that trimmer knew me. You shall be a new you if you don't delay. So, start today. Okay.
Let me add is for to my dictionary quick. Then there's contemplate.
Here are some common phrases from the Fry instant word list. So not necessarily phrases we say on our or we write on our machine. Ready? Between the lines, don't open the door. Add it up. Along the way, plants and flowers. Something good. Plant the trees. Those other people. In my head. We left it there. Close the door. Always be kind. It never happened. Once upon a time. We walked 4 miles. Let me carry it. Stop the music. The young face. State your case. I cut myself. On my side. The peaceful people. The young girl. The tall mountains. A good idea. A long life. White clouds.
I hear the sea. I hear the waves. Almost 4 miles. Okay, I'm going to give you some jury charge briefs like we did in the last class, and then I will just go over those and repeat them a few times. If you don't like the brief, just simply write it out. Okay, we've got contract, which is K-R-A, contrary, K-R-A-E-R, cause of action, K-A-U-X, Cox, contributory negligence.
Contributory negligence.
Treg, counsel, K-O-U-N, counselor, K-O-U-N-L, credible. You have 2 ways you can do that, either K-R-E-B-L or K-R-B-L. Either way is fine. And then we've got credibility. Again, you can either write it as K-R on the initial side, final B-L-T, or K-R-E-D, come back for B-I-L-T. Either one works. Okay, so now I'm going to go through these and give them to you. All right, here we go. Ready? Cause of action, contract, contrary, contributory, contract, contrary, contributory negligence, counsel, counselor, credible, credibility, cause of action, contract, contrary, contributory negligence, counsel, counselor, credible, credibility, contract, contrary, cause of action, contributory negligence, counsel, counselor, credible, credibility. Okay.
I struggled with that because they were all new briefs to me.
Now I'm going to give you some common phrases, and they don't always have to be phrases we write on our machine, but they are phrases. Okay, here we go. Ready? So I have had. So in that case, you're going to want to phrase I have. So I have had. So I recall. So I recalled. So I recollect. So I recollected. So I remember. So I remembered. So I shall. So I should. So I understand. So I want. So I wanted. So I was. So much. So you believe. So you believed. So you can. So you could. So you felt. So you feel. So you have. So you have been. So you have had. So you recall. So you recalled. Okay. We're going to focus on word families that have the THER ending, and several of these are actual briefs that we learned in theory. So let's do a review. Mother, M-A-U-R. Father, F-A-U-R. Another, A-O-T. Brother, you can either write that as B-R-A-U-R or B-R-O, and then if the word bro comes up, that would be a long O. Rather, R-A-U-R. Gather, G-A-U-R. Together, T-O-G-T. Either, long E-R-T, eart. Neither, N long E-R-T. Again, those are all briefs we learned in theory. Leather, L-A-E-G-T, come back for E-R. Smother, S-M-O-G-T, come back for E-R. Smoother, S-M-A-O-G-T, come back for ER. Okay, here are your sentences. Ready? My mother is a doctor. My mother is 48 years old. My father is a dentist. My father lives in the suburbs. Do you have another pencil? Is there another vehicle available? Don't bother to call me. Did he bother to send the note? We are rather disappointed in his progress. Would you rather have iced tea? Please gather all your valuables. Do we have time to gather the whole group? The belt was made of leather. Amy purchased a leather handbag. You will smother with so many blankets on. The silk is smoother than the satin. Is her skin smoother than mine? Either one of the flavors would be fine. Did they select either of your entries? Neither of the students finished the exam. The family enjoys being together on all the holidays during summer vacations. Okay, and that concludes
Holiday. Okay. I'm gonna move on to Charge and Literary.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 100 Literary and Jury Charge. I'm going to start off with an article here. This is called 10 People in One. Okay, here we go. Ready? Several years ago, a young man named Billy Milligan was arrested. He was charged with attacking and robbing a number of people. When lawyers told him what he had done, Billy seemed surprised. As he answered their questions, his voice seemed to change. First, he spoke with a British accent. Then he switched to a strong voice with a Slavic accent. Finally, Billy began to scream and cry like a child. At this point, a psychologist was called in. A psychologist is a scientist who studies a person's behavior and problems of the mind. The first words the psychologist said were, "Good morning, Billy." The young man answered, "Billy is asleep. I'm David." Was the prisoner, Billy Milligan, faking? Not according to the psychologist or the judge. The judge found Milligan not guilty. Billy was judged to be insane. He was sent to a hospital for medical treatment. Who is the real Billy? According to the psychologist, Billy is a sick young man. He has a mental disease known as multiple personalities. This means that a number of different personalities exist inside Billy. Some of these personalities are friendly and peaceful, but others are not. Billy's original personality, the one he first developed in childhood, is known as his waking self. This personality is in control of Billy most of the time, but sometimes the waking self blacks out. One of Billy's other personalities then takes over his mind and body. This personality may remain a moment, an hour, or for several days. When Billy's waking self returns, he usually can't remember what happened during the blackout. Billy was treated by Dr. Cornelia Wilbur. Dr. Wilbur is an expert on multiple personality problems. One of her most famous cases was a young woman named Sybil. Sybil had 16 personalities. The story of her treatment resulted in a best-selling book and a TV movie. Dr. Wilbur's first job with Billy was to identify all his personalities. During many talks with Billy, Dr. Wilbur uncovered 10 personalities. 8 were males and 2 were females. They ranged in age from a shy 3-year-old girl named Christine to a self-confident 22-year-old man named Arthur. One of the personalities, Adelina, was very violent. She was probably responsible for Billy's crimes. What causes multiple personalities to develop? In Billy's case, it was a very unhappy childhood. Billy was a bright, sensitive boy. His father killed himself when Billy was only 3 years old. His stepfather treated him badly. To ease his bad feelings, Billy developed other personalities. In the U.S., there may be more than 5,000 cases of multiple personalities. Many of these cases are never even recognized.
Okay.
Okay, moving right along. I've got some congressional record for you. This is on a living dream.
Living dream?
All right. Here we go. Ready? Let me give you a short word list.
Okay.
You're going to hear volatile, veteran, dedication, anti-nuclear, explosive, slogan, campaign, muster, adversaries. Okay, here we go. Mr. Speaker, for several years now, my hometown, the city of Santa Barbara, California, has been organizing and leading a campaign called A Living Dream. This campaign is aimed at encouraging and stimulating community service and pride and promoting the city's economic goals. Not surprising, the campaign is effective, exciting, and widely supported. On February 11, 2011, the citizens of Santa Barbara had the chance of a lifetime to show that actions do speak as loud as words. I am proud to report that citizens supporting a living dream were able to muster mass support and recognition when a potentially volatile situation develops. In a broad demonstration of community pride and unity, Santa Barbara was the scene of the dedication of the Ronald Reagan Library. During these dedication ceremonies, nearly 50 veterans stormed on the assemblage chanting anti-nuclear slogans, harassing the police officers, and attempting to cause total chaos and confusion. A great deal of credit goes to the chairperson of A Living Dream. Without so much as a wave of the hand, the dedication ceremonies were halted, and the chairperson approached the leader of the veterans and shook his hand and thanked him for coming to the dedication. The chairperson encouraged the veterans to join in the truly worthwhile cause of working with their adversaries rather than against them. The veterans were invited to stay for the dedication ceremony. As you can see, the city of Santa Barbara contains some truly enlightened community leaders, a highly professional police force, and a group of caring and reasonable citizens. By positive actions, a potentially explosive situation was avoided. The city of Santa Barbara reinforced the meaning of the right to peaceful assemblage and the right to free speech. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to give you some jury instructions. We'll pick up where we left off, okay? Here we go.
Jury instructions.
First degree intentional homicide, as defined in 940.01 of the Criminal Code of Wisconsin, is committed by one who causes the death of another human being with the intent to kill that person or another. Before you find the person, the defendant, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, the state must prove by evidence which satisfies you beyond a reasonable doubt that the following two elements were present. Number one, Brendan Dassey caused the death of Teresa Halbach, or aided and abetted another in causing the death of Teresa Halbach. Cause means that the defendant's acts were a substantial factor in producing the death. Number two, Brendan Dassey acted with the intent to kill Teresa Halbach, whether he did so directly or aided and abetted another. intent to kill means that the defendant had the mental purpose to take the life of another human being, or was aware that his conduct was practically certain to cause the death of another human being. While the law requires that the defendant acted with intent to kill, it does not require that the intent exists for any particular length of time before the act is committed. The act need not be considered or reflected upon for a week, a day, an hour, or even a minute. There need not be any time between the formation of the intent and the act. The intent to kill may be formed at any time before the act, including the instant before the act, and must continue to exist at the time of the act. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. I've got some legal opinion for you. Okay. All right. You're going to hear premeditated, interwoven, perpetrated, malice, aforethought, deliberate, pondered, schemed, reflected, malice, aforethought, deliberate, pondered, schemed, reflection, duration, consequences, contemplation, calculated, impulsive. All right.
How to write calculate.
Here we go. The subject of deliberate murder and premeditated murder is interwoven. The subject of deliberate murder and premeditated murder is interwoven into one issue. We define only murder which is perpetrated by a willful killing, a deliberate killing, or a premeditated killing when express malice aforethought is present as murder of the first premeditated killing when express malice aforethought is present as murder of the first degree. The word willful means intentional. Willful is something that is said or done deliberately. A synonym for willful is voluntary. The word deliberate means formed or determined or arrived at based upon a careful process of thinking and weighing any and all considerations for and against the proposed course of action. The word premeditated means to consider beforehand any plan which is thought out, schemed, or planned before an act is premeditated. When you find that a killing was preceded and accompanied by an obvious and deliberate intent on the part of the defendant to kill, which was the result of careful deliberation and premeditation, so that the act must have been performed based upon pre-existing reflections and not governed by a sudden heat of passion or other condition precluding the idea of deliberation. It is murder of the first degree. The law cannot undertake the responsibility of measuring in seconds, minutes, hours, or days the length of the period of time during which a thought must be weighed and pondered before it can mature into an actual intent to kill, which is truly deliberate and premeditated. The time will vary with different individuals and under varying circumstances. The true test is based not on the duration of time, but rather on the extent of the contemplation. A cold and calculated decision may be arrived at in a rather short period of time, but a rash and impulsive act, even though it includes the intent to kill, does not require such deliberation and premeditation as defined by law as an unlawful killing in murder of the first degree. Any opinion is subject to interpretation and consideration because all situations will vary according to the surrounding circumstances. In order to constitute a deliberate, premeditated killing, the question of killing must be weighed and considered, and the reasons for and against such a choice must be weighed. With this in mind and knowing the consequences, my opinion is that a deliberate, premeditated killing is perpetrated when a person decides to and does kill. All right. We have a couple more minutes.
Proofread.
I'm going to read just a little bit from Awaken the Giant Within, Dreams of Destiny. Okay, here we go. We all have dreams. We all want to believe deep down in our souls that we have a special gift, that we can make a difference, that we can touch others in a special way, that we can make the world a better place. At one time in our lives, we all had a vision for the quality of life that we desire and deserve. Yet, for many of us, those dreams have become so shrouded in the frustrations and routines of daily life that we no longer even make an effort to accomplish them. For far too many, the dream has dissipated, and with it, so has the will to shape our destinies. Many have lost that sense of certainty that creates the winner's edge. My life's quest has been to restore the dream and to make it real, to get each of us to remember and use the unlimited power that lies sleeping within us all. Okay, and that concludes our literary and jury charge for the 100 class. Have a great
Okay, next one. Q&A.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 100 Q&A practice. I'm going to be reading to you from direct examination which is the plaintiff questioning. You're going to hear interlocutory decree of dissolution of marriage. Now there is a brief for interlocutory. It's TROK, T-R-O-K. So at least you have a brief for interlocutory. So you may want to write that down. And then you're going to hear, let's see here, petition, which I write P-E-G-S, petition. Let's see, furniture, separation, distribution, administrative, redundant, trustee, preliminary, which you can write as P-L-I-M, plim, remittance. Okay, again, plaintiff attorney is going to be questioning. Ready? The interlocutory decree of dissolution of marriage contains a statement that to equalize the distribution of furniture that you were to be paid $5,000 by Mrs. Sherman. Did you ever receive $5,000 from Mrs. Sherman, the former Mrs. Sherman? I am trying to remember. Let me refresh your memory. The interlocutory decree of dissolution of marriage contains language which states that to equalize the division of the furniture and furnishings, your former wife was to pay you the sum of $5,000. Have you ever received a payment for remittance or payment in any form from your former wife in the amount of $5,000? I can answer the second question. I only asked one question. Maybe I'm confusing you. No, I didn't receive any money. You never received any money? I never got the $5,000. Now, I asked you in preparation for your testimony today to prepare a list of items which you feel, if you received them, would equalize the division of property. Do you recall my asking you to prepare that list? Yes, I do. And I'm going to show you a list. I've previously furnished a list to counsel that you have prepared in your own handwriting, and I show you this list. Dr. Sherman, if you receive the items on that list, in addition to those items which you have already received, would you be content with the division of furniture and furnishings? Yes, I would. I would ask that this list be admitted as Exhibit D, Your Honor. Any objection? No objection. It will be received in evidence as Exhibit D. Will you hand that to me, please? Thank you. Proceed, Mrs. Delaney. Dr. Sherman, you further requested in your moving papers that certain bank accounts which existed on the date of separation, which were not divided in the interlocutory judgment of dissolution of marriage, be divided at this time. Is that correct? That's correct. Your Honor, I would like to furnish the court with a variety of bank records from First Federal Savings and Loan in Flagstaff, Arizona, which I would ask be admitted into evidence. They've been set in sealed envelopes, and both counsel have examined the records. Any objection? No objection, Your Honor. They will be received as Exhibit E and so marked. Let the court see it, Mr. Clerk. So received. Dr. Sherman, you separated from your wife, Carolyn Sherman, in March of 2014. Is that correct? That's correct. Your former wife's petition alleges March 4 of 2014. Is that correct? I believe that's correct. The records before the court indicate that there was on March 4 of 2000.
Oh, what the heck happened? I'll just reload it.
Hello, everyone. March 4 of 2014. Is that correct? I believe that's correct. The records before the court indicate that of our former 14 wife, Carolyn Sherman, in March of 2000 from your wife marked. Let the court see it. You separated from your wife, Carolyn Sherman, in March of 2014. Is that correct? That's correct. Your former wife's petition alleges March 4 of 2014. Is that correct? I believe that's correct. The records before the court indicate that there was on March 4 of 2014 an account with First Federal Savings number 9-5307-51 existing on that date in the amount of $40,599.14. Did you, at that time, have any knowledge of the existence of that account? I don't recall having any knowledge of that account. First Federal Savings also had an account which on March 4 of 2014, number 9-5306-85, had an approximate amount of $70,861.75. Just a moment. Give the numbers again, please. Sure. 9-5306-85. All right, proceed. Now then, you had an account at First Federal Savings with you and Carolyn, which was an account for your daughter, Mia. Is that correct? Was the approximate amount of the account $70,000 at the time you separated? No, Carolyn had the account. She was the trustee for Mia's account. I'm not on that. Okay, but you were aware of that account? Oh, yes. Is it your request, Dr. Sherman, that the property be divided equally? That's my request. Dr. Sherman, you make a further request that the value that was originally placed on your medical practice be reduced because of administrative proceedings which resulted in your repaying some medical overcharges and attorney's fees which you incurred as a result of those proceedings. Now, for preliminary purposes, I was not your attorney in those proceedings. Is that correct? That's correct. And you have alleged that you had to repay Anthem $30,000 2 years prior to your separation. That's correct. What year were you required to repay Anthem for? 2008. And have you, in fact, repaid them that amount? Yes, I have. In resolving those claims and going through the administrative hearings that resulted in that amount being assessed against you, did you incur attorney's fees? Yes, I did. Who was the attorney that represented you? Gerald A. Bishop. Do you have any objection? I think it's redundant. Go ahead. Okay, we will
Okay.
switch transcripts here. Going back to the previous transcript that we've been working on with the boy that got bit by the dog. And this is going to be defense.
Dog bite.
And then you never looked back again, right? No, that's not true. You did look back again? No, I didn't look back. Okay, when you came back out of the house, did you go back into the garage the same way you went into the house through the same door? Yeah. Did you know the dog was gone before you opened the door from the house to go back out into the garage? No. Did you check before you went into the garage from the house? Yeah. How did you do that? When I opened the door, I went outside. I leaned this way to see if the dog was still there, and it was gone, and Daniel was just now hopping into the garage crying. Was he actually inside the garage when you first saw him after you opened the door from the inside of the house, looking out into the garage? Yeah. How far into the garage was he? Just barely, like 3 feet or 2. Did he say anything to you at all? No. What was he doing when he was hopping? Just hopping and crying. Anything else? No, just saying my leg is hurt. It is bit. Stuff like that. He said my leg was hurting. He said, my leg hurts. Hurry, my leg hurts. Did he say anything else to you as he hopped towards you and you opened the door for him to go into the house? No. Was he crying at all? Oh, yes. Were you crying at all during that time? Oh, yes. When you were in the garage before you went back into the house, you were crying? Yes. That's while he was hopping in the garage? Yes. Do you know why you were crying? I was scared. When did you first start to cry? When I came into the house. When you went into the house the first time? Yes. I'm sorry. When you ran into the house after you turned your back on the dog and your brother? Yes. Okay, and that concludes our Q&A practice for the 100.
Okay, we're moving on to the test. The test I'm going to do horribly on.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 100 Q&A test. Plaintiff attorneys, Mr. Franco, F as in Frank, R-A-N-C-O. Defense attorneys, Mr. Boucher, B as in boy, O-U-C-H-E-R. Again, plaintiff attorney, Mr. Franco, F-R-A-N-C-O. Defense is Mr. Boucher, B-O-U-C-H-E-R. And this test is going to start with plaintiff attorney. Ready? On the date of this accident, it was illegal to drive a motor vehicle while you're on a cell phone, handheld, correct? Yes. And if that would have been the case, if you would have learned that Ms. Jackson would have been on the phone at the time of the accident, not using some kind of Bluetooth or wireless type of device, you would have cited her, correct? Objection calls for speculation. Overruled. You can. And legal conclusion. Overruled. I respond, correct? You absolutely do. Let me put it this way. This is how it works. If counsel objects and I overrule the objection, then you answer. If I sustain the objection, then you don't answer. The court reporter is going to write this all down. I may put some notes later on in the record as well. Don't worry about that, okay? Okay. So, do you recall my question? Yes. Could you have cited her? I'm sorry. Can you restate that question? Certainly. If you would have found out that Ms. Jackson was on the phone at the time of this accident without the use of Bluetooth or wireless device, some kind of device like that, you would have cited her, would you not? Objection calls for speculation, calls for a legal conclusion, incomplete, have cited her, would you not? Objection calls for speculation, calls for a legal conclusion, incomplete, hypothetical. Overruled, you may answer. No. Why not? Because it's an infraction and I cannot issue a citation for something that's not committed in my presence. Oh, okay. So if someone tells you that they were on the phone at any given time, it would be against your policy to give them a citation because you didn't see it with your own eyes? Yes, that is correct. It would still be illegal to do that, right? Calls for legal conclusion. Overruled, you may answer. Assuming they weren't using the phone for an emergency phone call. It's still illegal to use a cell phone, okay, while strike that. On the date of this accident, it would have been illegal for Ms. Jackson to use a cell phone, not for emergency purposes, just talking to a friend without a wire device or some kind of Bluetooth device, correct? Calls for legal conclusion, Your Honor. Sustained. Well, that's one thing that you're always conscious of as you're patrolling in your unit, to watch for people that are on the phone, correct, because you want to either cite them, at least stop them from being on the phone, because that can cause accidents. True? Yes, that is true. You've been trained and are aware that being on such a phone, that can cause the distraction.
Okay, I'll be right back. Ad break starts soon. Okay, I'm back. Continue this.
Of a person, so it could cause an accident? Correct. Now, did you yourself ever ask Ms. Jackson the question, in sum and substance, were you on the phone at the time of the accident? No, I did not ask her that question. Because it's checked no, you assumed that Officer Williams did? Correct. Your Honor, calls for speculation. Sustained. Whenever you complete the actual form after investigating an accident or while investigating an accident, you want to make sure that that box is completed, correct? Yes. Okay, again, there's a lot of objections in there. So even if you feel a little, like that was a challenging test, I really encourage you to still try it. Most of the time we surprise ourselves and do a lot better than we think. Okay, let's see. We have a small word list. We've got Ms. Jackson, capital MSP.
Oh wait, that was the test? And I ran an ad break. Oh, that sucks. Okay. I ran a 3-minute ad break for like 2 minutes of content. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that. I thought I was still in the Q&A for a second. Okay, well, that's over with. Only got one person, but that's okay. Let's try to talk to you anyway. I'm probably the one person. Goodbye.